Welcome to Ghoulish Gab, always spooky, always under 7 minutes. Today we're talking about movies with big ass monsters in them. Some people call it Kaiju. I prefer the term big ass monsters.
Not to be confused with monsters with a big ass.
That's
Those
right.
are two different categories, and we will cover the other one some other time.
There's also big ass monsters with big asses. That's a third category. They're not. So, and we're gonna avoid King Kong, Godzilla. Those are my dudes. Love them. Watch all that shit, but you know what? You've probably seen some of those movies, or you can easily learn about the rest of them. I want to start with something called Q, the Winged Serpent from 1982.
I've
And
never heard of that.
what's really funny about this movie and how it got made, it's a Roger Corman film. You know, the guy who did Death Race 2000 and Little Shop of Horrors and a bajillion other cheap, funny movies. So he goes and films this whole movie without the monster in it and without having hired anyone to do the special effects yet, because he didn't know that that wasn't how you did it. He just heard that people can put in effects after you film. This was like a newer thing, of course, 1982. So he just gets everything set, goes out and films the movie, and then essentially starts calling people like, yeah, I need you to put this fucking winged serpent in my movie. And everyone was like, no, you can't do that. That's not how this works. Finally, they found somebody to take the job at a price a cheap price, and it works out. It's a fun movie. It's definitely you're gonna laugh at some of the effects, but it's a big man-eating flying serpent that they find in a nest and awaken in New York, and it's supposed to be the Aztec deity Quetzalcoatl. I don't know how that gets worked in, but it's a corny movie, but it's got some good moments, and if you kind of know the story, it's kind of fun to watch and think that the actors had no idea. They were just supposed to pretend there was a winged serpent the whole time they were making this bullshit.
So I've got this was a favorite of mine. I rewatched it a lot for a few years, and then I kind of tapered off because I'd seen it enough. But Troll Hunter from 2010.
Oh yeah.
It's a Norwegian film, and I've seen it described as a fantasy horror, and I've also seen it described as a horror comedy. So a fantasy horror comedy, but I don't know if they fully intended for it to be funny when they made it. I can't tell. Um, but basically, this like documentarian group duo is going out trying to like do a story on illegal poaching, and they run into this guy, and he basically has to explain that he's not poaching. He's hired by the Norwegian government to hunt trolls because there's a big troll problem. You just don't know about it.
He doesn't have a
And
license from the government that says that he can show them.
and then yeah, the proceeds the stuff that would be considered funny is probably like at one point they find out that you have to, in order to go troll hunting with him and follow him around, you have to get covered in troll stench to like so that they can't smell you. And it's basically just like all the stuff you can squeeze from a troll.
Oh,
And there's another part where he makes a big deal out of making sure nobody's Christian or Jewish or anything because uh basically if you believe in God, the trolls can smell your blood. And that comes up later at a plot point where like it turns out one of them lied about being a Christian, and it's a huge, and then like UV lights kill them, so this guy's got this gun, but it's basically just a giant fucking really powerful flashlight. And it sounds ridiculous when I talk about it, but I swear it's a really good movie.
that's another one I need to see. Like I've seen the poster and the trailers and stuff before, but I'd never watched the whole thing. So
I
I
know you don't love captions, but this is a movie where captions are worth it. It's worth it.
okay. That might be why I didn't watch it before then, probably. Let's 1958, Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. So this it's not really a monster other than that it's a giant person, but a wealthy heiress has a close encounter with an alien spacecraft, and I don't know, whatever happened causes her to grow to be, a giantess, 50 feet. And some of the premise of the movie is that it complicates her marriage. Womp, womp, womp. Her husband has a girlfriend on the side. This whole thing. There's some some 50s vision in this movie with the way things are looked at. But it's still kind of a fun movie to look at, how they did some of the effects, the same way they, did Godzilla back then and stuff like that. But
One
it's
person becoming 50 feet tall would complicate a relationship.
yeah, I would think so.
Jesus. 2006, The Host.
Hmm.
Um, Basically, it's a military dumps chemicals. I think it was formaldehyde, if I remember correctly, or something. But they dump chemicals into a river in South Korea, and all of a sudden, now there's this large fish mutant lizard thing with a demigorgon mouth, like a demogorgon mouth, that just starts rampaging. And it's again another movie that could be considered fairly cheesy, but I really enjoy it. The Host, I will rewatch. I already have a couple of times, but I'd rewatch it again.
That is all the time we have for today. Tell us about some of your favorite big ass monsters, big ass monsters with big asses,
Or
monsters with
just monsters with great asses, big
all that
fat cakes.
fat, juicy monster ass. Talk about that in the comments. Okay, bye.